In this video, we'll do a first look at the main slate for week 1 on FanDuel 2021. Though it's early, we'll construct a cash lineup as well as give you some stacking options for GPP. It's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, I'm super pumped for week 1, not just for NFL season finally starting, but also for the fact that we've got the fantasy ready to start.
Yeah, well, man, we've had a busy preseason, though, Michael. We're going to get to our week 1 FanDuel in just a second. We want to make sure you guys do not miss these 3 things that we have for you in the preseason. The number one most important thing, if you play NFL DFS, you have to check out our 9-class NFL DFS Master Class. It starts with talking about all the basics and gets into picking the right contest and deep dive strategies into picking the right quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense, and then looks at specific cash and GPP strategies. It's a great series. There's even a bonus class on the common mistakes that DFS players make. Be sure to check that out.
The other thing we did, Eric, this year is we talked about each of the divisions. We broke them down by who's going to perform well this year, who's going to make the playoffs, talked a little bit about some of the fantasy players, really excited about what we did there. So take a look at that content. We put the links in the description for you here.
And a new consultant, Jack Grant, who's an expert at Dynasty Fantasy Football. We did a short 3-class series on how to be successful at Dynasty Fantasy Football. First, talking about how to set up your league and the benefits of playing Dynasty, and then how to draft, as well as little tricks and tips about being successful on the waiver wire and in trading in Dynasty format. We want to remind all of our viewers that they can help support the show by smashing the red subscriber button and hitting that bell icon, not to miss any of our content. All of the shows we just talked about, the link is in the description. It is time, Michael, to talk about week 1 on FanDuel. Let's go to the studio. All right, we're on the main slate for FanDuel, which means if you're looking for Cowboys, Bucks, Ravens, Raiders, Bears, or Rams, they're not here because they're not playing on the main slate. So we want to remind you guys, please enter in the comment section any of your picks of who you like. Michael, we like to start at running back, and who do you like?
Well, we talked a lot about McCaffrey on our other show, but he's just too expensive here. I think they priced him just right to make him a little bit scary, right?
$1,000 more than Dalvin Cook. Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry is one of those, as we've said elsewhere, one of those fine wines that gets better over time, and so I think he's stronger late in the season. So it's really the other 2 top backs here that are tempting to talk about. What do you have to say about Mr. Kamara there?
Well, interesting. Alvin Kamara at 8,600 is the same price as he is on DraftKings, which normally is a bargain. But remember, so much of his value is they get so many receptions. So, I like Kamara normally when he's playing at home and he's a favorite and there's no Michael Thomas, but I want to see who is going to be the quarterback. The guy that I like the most here, given the price, we may have to go back if we have to downgrade, if we have to save money later and go down to Henry, but I kind of like Dalvin Cook. He plays a suspect Bengal defense in a high-scoring game. They have a pretty nice implied total of 25.5 points. And, he checks all the boxes, Michael. Featured back, goal line, pass reception. Love him.
Yeah, and he always performs well early in the season, so I like this pick as well.
Yeah, you can actually know he's healthy and fresh. So, all right. So, after I just wasted a lot of money there, Michael, on Dalvin Cook, can you save us some money?
Yeah, can we go down a little ways?
Yeah, we have to go down.
A little bit further. Oh, let's stop right about here. So let's talk about Mike Davis, who was the beneficiary of McCaffrey's injuries last year, had a great fantasy season with the Carolina Panthers. Now he's with the Atlanta Falcons. who historically have really relied heavily on a two-back system, but they have a change at the top, at the coaching position. And with Mike Davis's ability to be an every down back, his very good hands, I think, and with some of the changes that Atlanta has at the receiver position, I think he is going to get a lot of touches. So I like this bargain pricing.
Oh, I love it as well. Gurley's gone. Ito's gone. Brian Hill's gone. This is Mike Davis's backfield. Do you know he broke tackles on like 13% of his runs last year, which was the best in the NFL of all running backs who had at least 100 carries. So I like Davis. All right. So, and more importantly, I like the $6,200 price that we get for him. Where are we going to go from here? It's kind of weird, Michael, because all off season, I have told people James Robinson is overrated. The guy touched the ball so much last year, and this year they've signed Carlos Hyde. They drafted Etienne. I just wonder whether he'll get anywhere near the touches. But he's only $5,900, and he's facing Houston, probably the worst. They were the worst against running backs last year. They did nothing in the offseason to benefit their defense. In fact, it went the other way with J.J. Watt fleeing town. You know what? Again, don't expect these stats, right? The number of touches. I mean, he was the busiest running back, third busiest in the NFL as far as touches. That won't happen, but I can't pass him up at $5,900, Mike.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely a bargain basement guy given what he did last year. So I like it as our flex pick.
And since I wasted a lot of money on Cook, we got to think about saving some money. All right, let's go to wide receiver. What guys pop out at you at wide receiver that you want to try to target?
I'm surprised Davante Adams isn't a little bit more expensive. So maybe I'll flip it back to you and let you talk a little bit about him.
Yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers is back. I don't know if he was officially back when they set the pricing, but he is back, which makes all the difference for Davante Adams. I think Randall Cobb being signed actually may help Adams because maybe he won't get as much attention when they basically didn't have a number 2 wide receiver in the past. Let's be clear. Davante Adams last year was the best at everything when it comes to fantasy and wide receivers for any stats you can think of. On a per game basis, he led in receptions. He led in receiving touchdowns. He led in receiving yards. So I actually would like to, you got me all excited about Michael. We can come back and take him out if we need money, but let's slide him into the lineup for now.
Okay, yeah, we have enough money, but that means we need to go down. And I was going to say, let's go down anyways, because I think there's some good pricing a little bit lower. We talked about him a little bit earlier. There you go. Let's stop there. Let's talk about Terry McLaurin. He's not quite as cheap here as he was in DraftKings, but I think with the upgrade at the quarterback position, this guy who I think has as much distance between him and the defensive backs as any other receiver, the speed, the hands, the ability to get yards after the catch. I really like Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the change in quarterback. Not just that Fitzpatrick is better than anyone they had last year, and he is, but the style that he throws the ball downfield, he takes chances, and that's perfect for McLaurin. So I'm noticing a trend, Michael. I spend up, you save us money. I appreciate that. Any more money you have to save us? Because let's look at this. We have to average only $5,750 in our last few picks, and we still have to pick a quarterback.
Well, we got to bring it down a little bit more. And I think that means that maybe we look at some of these rookies that are coming out that have special talent, a lot of speed, and are on teams where they're going to be needed. So there's a couple I think worth talking about. But the one that I like most, depending on injury status is Devonta Smith, who I think is, if I recall correctly, is in the low 5,000. So let's go down a little bit.
Wow. $5,300 for you got to really go down for him.
Yeah. And another option right there that we just went by is Jamar Chase, who's also equally maybe a little bit more expensive. But I think Devonta Smith is more of a feature receiver, given who else Philadelphia has in the receiver core. And given that he does have, even though Jalen Hurts didn't finish his career at Alabama, he does have rapport with Jalen Hurts, given that they crossed paths during their time. Obviously, the Heisman Trophy, the returning or the prior year Heisman Trophy award winner, has a lot of talent. What he was able to do, even when the microscope was on him, was quite impressive. My only concern here, and let me say, he's playing against the worst defensive backfield in the league. My only concern here is that he currently has a sprained knee.
Yes, that was a recent thing. He's expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks of practice. One would think he will be ready for week 1 of the season, but obviously it's something that you're going to want to monitor. But I love the savings that we get to him. And I love the fact that you go, oh, he's a rookie. Will he really be featured? Philadelphia doesn't have wide receivers. They haven't had a wide receiver that had 1,000 yards since 2014. All their wide receivers last year were horrible. So I think he's going to slide in, if healthy, to be their number 1 wide receiver this year. Okay, so all right, so we've got quarterback, tight end, and defense. Well, here's something I can guarantee you. We're not going to be able to afford the top tight ends. That's just a reality. Kelsey not coming on our team. And wow, we talked about Kyle Pitts for DraftKings, but FanDuel really priced him up $6,000. He's not a bargain. But I want to go down here at 2 guys. Logan Thomas at 5,600 and Hunter Henry at 5,300 are far more reasonably priced. Which do you like?
Well, if we need the $300, then I'm not too much further down the list on Hunter Henry. I think New England has always done a good job. So he's got to change of venue, obviously. New England's always loved to utilize their tight ends. They've done that well. As Cam Newton has in his career, if he's going to be the guy, which I think he will be. Hunter Henry is a super athlete and has had great stats at San Diego, a little bit on and off. I think Logan Thomas is a little bit of a safer bet, given that he's still in Washington, was the guy towards the end of the season. I think you said he might have actually led outside the top 3. He'd led tight ends the last several weeks of the season.
Well, second half of the season, he was the 3rd best tight end, only behind Waller and Kelsey.
Yeah. So if we can afford him, I think, especially again with the tight end change, although to some extent, with the quarterback change, but to some extent, maybe Fitzpatrick's ability to push the ball downfield means that Thomas might not quite have the same upside as he did towards the end of the season with the lesser quarterbacks.
Well, Alex Smith loves dumping off to his tight end and his running backs. So, yeah.
That's something to think about here. So I guess I'm a little bit neutral with Thomas getting the slight edge if we can afford the $300.
Yeah, I just think Henry is truly a talent. He has been in the top 10 the last 2 years as tight ends for catches, yards, touchdowns, everything that you would care about. The scary thing is he goes to the Patriots and you don't know exactly his role, but they don't have a lot of great offensive weapons. I can't imagine that he won't be featured. Let's put Henry in for now, and if we need the money later, let's spend it. So, all right, so let's take a check here. We've got $12,400. So if we go relatively cheap on defense, and we're not going to spend a lot of time stressing about the defense, we can go bargain basement, but the ones that I think that are reasonable are the Bills and the Chiefs, both at home, both favored. Buffalo plays a Pittsburgh team whose offensive line is no bueno, ladies and gentlemen. But let's see if I have to go against that. So, wow, that leaves us with $8,800. So usually when we do this, folks, we like plan it all ahead. We're doing just our first look here. We know this lineup is going to change. Wow, Michael, we can get any quarterback that we want. So here's my question to you. Do you just spend it all on Mahomes and stop this lineup, or do you pay down a little bit? And there were several spots that we said, you know what, if we had the money, we could pay up. Would you like to do that?
Well, I understand why, Mahomes is week in, week out the most expensive guy. And, Josh Allen's the other one who I kind of take a quick look at. But look who they both draw this first week, right? So Kansas City plays the slow and boring Cleveland Browns, who will try and slow the game down as much as they can, which they should do to try and keep that game as close as possible. Even though Cleveland's defense was not the best, they do slow games down.
Yeah.
And Buffalo draws, the one thing that Pittsburgh does have going for them really is their defense is strong. And so both of those quarterback picks maybe aren't necessarily the best, but come on, you can tell me that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to have a good game, or that Josh Allen isn't going to have a good game. They perform week in and week out. They're the safer bet. So, would I be willing to save a few bucks and spend it elsewhere? Yeah. But if I knew I had $8,800 left, I'd probably still go with Mahomes. How about you, Eric?
Well, Josh Allen has really, he really progressed last year in that he's become an accurate quarterback, which is amazing. And Buffalo became a top 3 in both passing yards and passing TDs. And you combine that with his running ability. I would normally have said I'd take Josh Allen and spend the $700 elsewhere, but gosh, how can you ever not like Pat Mahomes? They invested in their offensive line in the offseason to fix what the glaring weakness that was shown in the Super Bowl. So tell you what, this lineup is certainly going to change as we get more information, but let's just leave it at this. We'll put Pat Mahomes in there. And man, Michael, we got Pat Mahomes, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams, and no real weak link here. I like this lineup as a first look.
Very much so.
So we usually like to talk about GPP, and that's one thing that's different if you're new here to this channel is we take a stand. Right or wrong, we'll let you know where we stand, and we give you our actual lineups. And a week and a half before the season, we will update this lineup and let you know where we will go for week 1. Let's talk about a GPP. We'll give a full GPP lineup in a week and a half before the season. But I just want to talk about stacks, Michael. And the GPP stack that I like, it's a little on the expensive side, but 51 total points are being scored supposedly in Green Bay at New Orleans. It's in a dome. I think it's going to be back and forth. I like Rodgers to Adams / Cobb. We said Devontae Adams is a reasonable price, and running that back with Kamara. I know that's expensive, but I think that's a great start to a GPP lineup. Any final thoughts, Michael?
No, I feel pretty good about what we came up with on the cash lineup. I agree with you on GPP. That's one to watch. Another one to watch maybe is that Cincinnati game. So those are kind of the 2 ones to pick. But just excited to be back. Excited for this first season week. I can't wait for that. Watch NFL again. Let's keep doing this. This is great.
All right. So don't leave us now. Check out these 2 videos, either the NFL DFS Master Class, or check out our division shows where we break down all the divisions, order of finish specifically for 2021. Until we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.